Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just put in these lines that show the part that would go under the frame, under the mat, if I was in fact to frame it. And the next thing I'm going to do is just divide it up into the three big areas. So yeah, so I now that I sit here, I didn't notice this at all when I was cropping the photograph, and I actually spent a long time doing that and sort of working on that. And I didn't notice at all that that line is so much in the middle of the painting of the photograph, and I also didn't notice that these shapes were so much the same. So I have big hopes now that that other things in the painting will compensate for that. And I had ideas, which is why things got kind of out of hand in terms of putting things, sort of dividing the spaces up evenly and putting things too close to the middle. And those ideas were where I wanted the trees to be placed. So the trees are going to be kind of here. So that was part of my ideas. I wanted the trees in a certain place. And then another part of my plan was that I wanted to be sure I could have the fence in my picture. So even though I'm putting the fence in now, I will definitely paint it right out when I start painting, but I need to know at least how it's going to work with the composition. So there's times like that I put things in, um, and then I put things in, and then I take them out. I put them in to see make sure it's going to be okay, and then I take them out. And I did like that these trees were completely symmetrically spaced. And I guess I'm thinking maybe I'll, mess that up by making the fence posts not so. Do want the fence posts to not line up directly with any of the trees, so. And hopefully I'll remember that that's what I want when I get back to this. Yeah, okay, so the trees, I think they only come, yeah, and the last two really don't come above the horizon at all, and that's how we're able to have that coming on up, that light there. Just trying to get the shape. And maybe, maybe I didn't actually put enough space between the trees. And then, of course, there goes the fence again. Okay, so here's the first one that kind of goes off the edge. It is shorter. It is shorter than the place where the land meets the sky, I think. I can't really see it that well. And then the next tree is a little further out, and then a little further. So I had them. They can't get that too far out, right? So, okay, so back to the drawing board, as we say. All right, so here's 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it's going to be something like that, and then this comes down, and then there's these guys. That's probably what's making me feel. Is it? Yeah, these guys are so much shorter. Okay, so there's kind of where my trees are going to be, and this is further down, and so I'm looking at this shape right here. How much snow can I see? Where are the branches kind of compared to the snow field? All right, and I sort of, then my other fence is coming in from this side. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with that either, but luckily, in fact, I don't have to decide right now. Okay, and so then there's the dark of the clouds comes behind these trees. And there's some dark clouds. Oops. Dark clouds that come. Let's see, I keep getting out a little too steep. dark clouds that come across like that, and then they, I think I'll make that, I think it does, in fact. This is that cerulean blue part in there, and then there's bigger clouds over here. And that's what's going to come down here, the dark clouds, and be right behind the trees. Yeah, I might have to make everything smaller. I think I keep doing this. I don't know why. I keep making things too big in my pictures. That's exactly what I did in the flower demonstration. I made the flowers too big. That's why I didn't have room for the base and stuff. I just totally made the flowers too big. Okay, so I think the sky, because the sky was one of my favorite things, and I want to be sure there's enough room for all of it. So I think the sky has to come down lower, which means that my trees have to get a little smaller, which means that my mountains have to get a little smaller too. My hills, let's get serious about that. My hills have to get a little smaller. But you really just can't, I mean, you can, but you shouldn't think of things where you're drawing and you see, oh, I've got it so messed up now, but each thing I did gave me ideas about what I need to do. So I don't really regret doing things wrong. It's just when you do things wrong and you don't notice, sadly, that's when you have regrets. Okay, so it might help me here if I kind of put in the dark areas. So there's this whole, oh yeah, my fence, of course, is really too big, but I get to choose about that, I think. So there's this whole little dark business on the edge of the field here. And then there's a shadow that kind of comes up like that. And that's going to be dark. I'm putting in my lights and darks because, well, for one thing, I can see shapes better when I have lights and darks. I can see proportions better. And then for another thing, I feel like I'm going to be confused here. So I think it would be good for me to have some of the darks, to actually put, not just put stripes across, but actually put where the darks are. All right, see, because like here, already I forgot, oh, there's supposed to be this, so is that a cloud, or actually it's an alligator? Is that opening a dark space or a light space? So that's kind of the nice thing about actually shading things in, but you should never do that on white paper. If you're using white paper, don't do that, because you can't cover it up. I don't know why, but you just can't, and your charcoal just stays there. I mean, having these many mistakes on white paper would be a problem too. Okay, so here's kind of my top of that cloud, and I don't know, here's this one, but I don't know if I'm going to put that one in because I'm not sure it's adding to the overall thing of the design, I guess. And then here's another little blue sky place, and then surrounded by these little guys. Sometimes I think it's okay to make shapes in your sky, like, oh, that cloud looks just like an alligator, because that's what we do with clouds anyway, so maybe that's okay to have sort of some shapes showing up. All right, well, so the way it is here is that it's really hard for me to spend the kind of time that I might want to spend drawing when I'm doing these demonstrations. And also, when you're outdoors painting, it's hard to spend that much time because unless you can go back day after day and have the same kind of lighting situation. So I don't know why, but I thought today I would start with the dark part of the clouds. And if you were painting outside, you would need to finish the sky, get it well along the way, right away, because it won't stay. And a lot of times, right when I take photographs, so even if I haven't actually ever used them later, but I do take a photograph when I'm painting right then, when I'm working on the sky, so that yeah, so that I can finish it later if I have to. And if the sky changes and something better happens, I don't. I do that. I don't just try to keep the same thing. So if something better comes along, I go for that. Sorry, I'm having a really hard time getting the paper off this pastel. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put in some of what I think the sky color between the clouds is. Yeah, that was a lot lighter than I kind of thought it was gonna be. So I'm just gonna use something darker up above. I do think I'm gonna leave that little cloud out. You're not, just copying nature. You're designing it. Okay, and that comes under here a little bit too. And remember, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to get something on there. I never feel like I know really what is going on until I have everything covered. So in the beginning, it's just, I do work really fast. And I try not to think too much about what I'm doing. Except what I'm thinking now is that I don't seem to have any oranges left. Oh, here's something I can use. And, I know there's a lot of maybe angst about how do I pick my colors. There's a couple of ways I do it. Is that I just do whatever I think. I kind of do whatever crosses my mind. And I know that if I'm going to bring white up in these clouds, I don't want to do that first. I want to be sure that I get all the color in it before I add something else to it, like white. And it is sunset. Wow, that's interesting. That was so hard it wouldn't do anything even on that next. I don't want to go that light yet, so let's see if there's something else I can do. Yeah, so what I try to do, what I do is I get all the colors that are going to come through underneath before I start putting the white on. So I use a lot of white. Don't think I don't use white, because I do. But I don't use it first, because once you've used it, you've kind of gone clear to the top of your range. You got nowhere to go. It's like starting at the top of the piano keyboard or something. You can't really, there's nowhere to go from the top of the keyboard. So yeah. Yeah, I photoshopped that sky, so I don't know. I'm a little worried about it in general. I changed it, and because I wanted the dark to be right behind the trees. I wanted the light. I didn't want the light on the sky to be right behind the light on the trees. So I raised the cloud, but and I do start darker than I plan to end up. Definitely I do that, but oh, there's that same one again. You should be thrown out of the box, buddy. All right, so then the next thing, I'm just going to work down from there. So, I'm sure this is still too dark, but I'm just going to see what I can do. If I can make the line of the mountains dark enough to be darker than the, oops, I just pushed my easel away. If I can get this little dark part to be darker than the clouds, which I can, so I might, need to do, I will definitely need to do some other stuff, but maybe I could do that for now. And then I've got my clouds pretty orangey, And so I think I have to make my land here even more orangey to make it look lit up. That was caused me a little trouble because I didn't draw that well enough. So right in that spot, I didn't draw it well enough. And it's really good. Like here, this is supposed to be the dark clouds in there, and luckily I haven't used very many colors yet. And I actually have them out here on the edge of my tray, so that I can see what colors I have used. So I didn't have to go searching, but these are the two colors of the clouds so far. And if you miss a spot, I mean, a lot of times if I miss a spot, I don't actually know what I used in that spot. So that can be kind of a problem for you. So try not to miss a spot. And I never have been disciplined enough to actually keep the colors I'm using over to the edge out of the box, but it saves a ton of time because it's so much easier to put things back in the box the way they belong when you're not having to pick the greens out of the yellows and all that before you can even start putting them back in the places they go. Okay, so I'm also gonna see what I think that, I mean, obviously that's not quite right either. And you know, I don't want it to be right the first time over. I don't do anything too weird in the blue part of my sky. You know, probably wouldn't start it orange. I mean, I don't hate to ever say never, but because the blue, you can just get your sky all muddy and horrid. So I just stick with kind of, you know, kindergarten sky colors, blue. And that's why I have a large set of blue pastels. I really miss the days when you could go into an art store and pick out the pastels you wanted. Well, the expensive pastels, like you can still pick out Rembrandts some places, but we could go in and just see so many different pastels. It was a really long time ago, I know, but and you could make your own little box of the best blues from all the different brands. All right, so I'm just going to leave that for now. Okay, so you know, after I did the sky and all, I'm working my way down because it's easier for me to compare colors right to the things that are touching them. Okay, and this is the shadow. Let's I'm going to use some of that same stuff to do this thing that's on this little row of stuff that's on the edge of the trees of the snow field. All right, so now I think I have to put in the trees now, and I really have admired the red trees people have been doing, and it crossed my mind just now that, ooh, wouldn't that be fun to make those trees red? But I really can't because I need the red for there. So I'm only going to put in sort of the biggest things right now. Only up into I'm not putting anything above the orange as far as the tree trunks go. And you know, I've never done this before like this, so it's just I just decided to try it because it's so difficult to do trees without leaves in winter because especially in pastel because you have to fill in so much stuff all around them. So I just wanted to see if maybe I could just try something different that would work maybe better. So that was the plan. So I've got my trunks. Oh, this is so bad. Something happened here. Something came unscrewed. Yeah. All right, so now I've got the snow situation, and it is a huge part of my painting, and it's looking honestly bigger all the time. But you know, actually, that's why my trees aren't big enough. I don't think they come down far enough. So just gonna make them a little longer. And I didn't switch over and use charcoal right then because it wasn't very complicated. All right, so this is going to be the shadow under these trees. And, you know, I'm exaggerating it in terms of the value and, and probably the color. Okay, and I just wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to start my snow with this color. So I just am. Yeah, turn off my sound. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to, so I did. Because, and you know what? I also totally forgot to see what time it was when I started, but at the very least, I have to get the whole thing covered. And I know I always say to make the strokes go this way on the ground, but I don't know, I just can't because of the angle. So I'm just going to get it laid in, and then I'll worry more about that direction of strokes later. Okay, so that, now I'm thinking maybe I'll use a little violet on top of that. Not sure. Yeah, okay, I could go with that. Okay, and then, oh, would you look at that? Okay, so here's like, I can see a drawing mistake, so I don't want to go on with the drawing mistake. I just want this to come down more. And then there's, I don't know if there is a break in there, but it'd be kind of good if there was. So I'm just gonna make a little break there, break for it. And then I'm gonna put this back in with my darkest blue. And I wanted to correct the drawing right then because the snow is super light, and I just wanted to be sure that I didn't have any more, so much light that I couldn't even do the dark on top of it, so. Okay, and now I think I need maybe some, I don't know, more of a blue on my snow. Okay, so when I look at it now, one way I could do this, it's not really common for me, but one way I could do this, although maybe it is what I'm doing, maybe it's uncommon for me to actually articulate it, is like, to me now, the worst color is this, or the least accurate color is this, so I'm going to see what I can do to make that better. You're out of here. That's my little creature that won't do what it's supposed to. Okay, well let's try something actually a little different. Let's try a little yellow ochre. And so just remember always, you're not trying to, I mean, you can try to make it perfect if you want, and maybe you can, but I can't. I just have to try to make it better. And so I think that's better. Um, yeah, so it's interesting to me all the time how, like the trees, when they're here and when they're here, they're dark, but then, well, of course, they're in the sun, but it depends on what's behind them. And then, so it might go from dark to light to dark. And then if you do that, you got something pretty weird going on. So that was also part of my interest in painting this picture, which I have Grace to thank for. Okay, so this is straight up yellow. This, you can't tell in the recording, this is much pinker. The yellow really like comes forward like that's all there is, but it's really pinker. So let's just see if I can find another pink that's dark enough. I think the clouds are maybe, like there's a line that's a little darker in there, so I'm going to see if I can I thought there was this great purple in there too, but as you can see, maybe that was a little over too much, but so what. I always feel like better to be too much than overstated than understated. That's what I'm going for. I'd a lot rather be a little outrageous than too dull, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would think this is too dull compared to a lot of modern art, but so I wonder now, maybe I could use that color I used to start with in this other part of the sky. And I think the answer to that is yes. Somehow it seems okay now, so. Wowza. Okay, well, so this is still pretty out there. Let's just see what this will do. It's a little lighter than what I had before. Also, there's a little place back here catching the light, but I'm undecided about that, if I could pull that off or not. So I'm just going to let that go a little bit longer. And I need to come back in and put these mountains, they kind of got, or what, I'm not sure really what they are. I can't really see it that well. And you know what, I'm just going to try that little spot back there, because why not? I can always get rid of it. I wonder too what maybe I could bring this down. That doesn't look right to me now. That this is lower. Oops. Nope. All right, I'll just use the really dark one. I think this needs to come down more. So I think that's a good example right there of how you don't always know what the problem is. And so I thought the problem was up in here, but really the problem was I let my little snow field get too wide, have too much depth. Okay. So, say I forgot to see what time it was when I started, but I think I could let it go until I actually see you in person. And I just had a horrible thought. What if the volume's not turned on? I bet you guys could lip sync me now. Oh my gosh, I look like elephants. No, it'll all be fine. Just think we all should keep telling ourselves that. It'll all be fine. And if it's not, like, so what? Just do another painting. Let's see if I can make this even yellower. All right, so, you know, it's really tempting to lighten up the snow right now, but then this other part of me just doesn't want to yet. I do it now and I spray it. It'll all be fine. All right, so thank you for watching. At least I hope you watched, because we're going to start from here at class on Monday night. Okay, see you later.